Welcome back to the show, everyone. Today we're diving into a topic that's super exciting for so many young Australians, getting your first car. It's a rite of passage, right? But the finance side of things, that can feel like a total maze. So to help us navigate it, we've got a fantastic panel. Craig and Tom are here from Find That Finance, an asset finance broker, and they've got tons of experience in this space. And joining us for a very personal perspective is Samantha, who's 19, working, and just starting her own car buying journey. Welcome, everyone.
Thanks, Alana. Great to be here and happy to share some insights.
Absolutely, Alana. It's a huge step for young people, and we want to make it as smooth as possible.
Hey. Yeah, thanks for having me. Honestly, I'm so keen to learn. I've been looking at cars online, but when it comes to how I'm actually going to pay for one, I just feel a bit lost, you know?
That's completely understandable, Samantha, and that's exactly why we've brought Craig and Tom in. Craig, Tom, when you hear someone like Samantha say she feels lost, what's the first thing that comes to mind in terms of how Find That Finance can help?
Well, Alana, Samantha's experience is super common. Most young people, and even older ones, when they think about car finance, their first thought is usually, I'll just go to my bank. And while banks are familiar, they often only have a very limited range of products. That's where a broker like us comes in.
Exactly. We're not tied to one lender. We've got access to multiple lenders, which means we can actually shop around for Samantha. It's like having a personal shopper for your finance, someone who knows the market inside out.
So, like instead of just seeing what one bank offers me, you guys can see what heaps of different banks or finance companies offer? That sounds pretty good.
Precisely, Samantha. And it's not just about the number of options, it's about finding the right option for your specific situation. Every lender has different criteria, different rates, different terms. What's best for one person might not be best for another, especially for a first-time borrower.
That's a really important point. And I know you mentioned a few key services we offer. Tom, could you elaborate on things like the free loan eligibility assessments and pre-approvals? Because I think for someone like Samantha, knowing if you even can get a loan, and for how much, before you fall in love with a car is huge.
Absolutely, Craig. The free loan eligibility assessment is a game changer. Think of it as a low-risk way to find out where you stand. We can assess your financial situation, your income, expenses, even your credit history, without it impacting your credit score. It gives you a clear picture of what you might be approved for.
So, I wouldn't be wasting my time looking at cars that are way too expensive for me, or getting knocked back by a bank and it affecting my credit score?
Exactly, Samantha. It's all about empowering you with information up front. And following on from that, once we've established eligibility, we can then work towards a pre-approval. A pre-approval means you have an offer of finance ready to go, pending you finding a suitable vehicle.
Wow, that must be such a relief for car buyers. You walk into a dealership or look at a private sale and you already know your budget and that the money is, in essence, there? No more guessing games.
Massive relief, Samantha. It puts you in a much stronger negotiating position, too. You're a serious buyer. You're not just window shopping, you're ready to buy, and sellers know that.
And Samantha, it also helps prevent impulse buys. When you have a clear budget from your pre-approval, you're less likely to be swayed by something outside your financial comfort zone. We've all seen those stories of people buying a car they love only to regret the repayments later.
That's one of my biggest worries, actually. Like I see a car and I think, oh, I want that. But then I start thinking about how much it's going to cost every month and all the other stuff. What about the insurance and petrol?
Great question, Samantha. It's not just the sticker price, is it? Craig, Tom, how do you factor in those additional costs for a first-time buyer?
That's a really smart thing to be thinking about, Samantha. A car's price is just the entry ticket. You've got to consider the total cost of ownership. We always discuss this with our clients.
Absolutely. Our role isn't just to find you a loan, it's to help you strategize. We'll talk through things like potential insurance costs, which can be significant for young drivers, especially if you're going for a sporty model. We'll also prompt you to think about fuel efficiency, servicing, registration, and even typical repair costs for certain makes and models.
So you guys don't just give me a loan and then I'm on my own?
Not at all, Samantha. That's the personal service aspect we pride ourselves on. From that first eligibility assessment right through to securing the finance and beyond, we're with you. We're here to answer questions, explain processes, and essentially be your guide. You're never just a number to us.
That personal touch sounds invaluable, especially for something as big as a first car. And you mentioned being strategists, not just brokers. Can you expand on what that means in practice?
Good question, Alana. While we can't give financial advice, what we can do is leverage our extensive knowledge and experience in the asset finance industry. We've seen thousands of different scenarios. So when Samantha comes to us and she's got a certain income, maybe a short employment history, or she's looking at a particular type of car, we can offer ideas and options based on what we know has worked for others in similar situations.
Think of us as a sounding board. We'll present you with different possibilities, explain the pros and cons of various loan structures, and help you understand how different choices might impact your repayments or the overall cost of the car. It's about empowering you to make your own informed decision, rather than just telling you what to do.
Okay, that makes sense. So you wouldn't say, buy this car, but you might say, if you choose a car that's 5 years old instead of 2, your repayments could be lower, and here are some lenders who like financing older cars?
Exactly that, Alana. Or, if you're looking at this particular model, be aware that some insurance companies charge a premium for it, so let's factor that into your overall budget. It's about giving you the full picture, helping you connect the dots.
That's incredibly helpful. It sounds like you're really looking out for the real Aussie in these situations, understanding that every young person's circumstances are unique. Speaking of which, Samantha, what are some of the other questions that have been rattling around in your head as you've started thinking about this?
Well, like, how much deposit do I need? And what if I don't have a huge amount saved up? Is that going to be a problem?
That's a common concern, Samantha. The good news is that many lenders offer finance options with no deposit or a very low deposit. While having a deposit can sometimes improve your chances or get you a slightly better rate, it's definitely not always a barrier. We can explore those options for you.
It goes back to that eligibility assessment. We look at your whole financial picture. If you've got stable employment, a good income for your age, and manage your expenses well, lenders are often quite flexible even without a large deposit. It's about demonstrating your capacity to repay the loan.
Okay, that's reassuring. Because I'm saving, but it feels like it takes ages to build up a really big deposit when you're also trying to live, you know? Another thing is, what if my credit history isn't super long? I only just got my first credit card a few months ago, and I always pay it off, but I don't have years of history like my parents do.
That's a critical point for many young adults, Samantha. You're just starting to build that financial footprint. How do lenders view that, Craig and Tom?
It's a really valid point, Alana and Samantha. Lenders do like to see a credit history as it gives them an indication of your repayment habits. However, for first-time borrowers, it's understood that you won't have a lengthy history.
What we often look for, and what lenders consider, are things like stable employment, whether you're paying your existing bills on time, even things like phone bills or rent if you're renting. The fact you're managing your credit card responsibly, even if it's new, is a huge plus. We can highlight these strengths to potential lenders.
And this is another area where using a broker can be a massive advantage over going directly to a single bank. Some lenders are more understanding of a shorter credit history for young, stable applicants. A bank might have a rigid X years of history rule, whereas we can find a lender whose criteria is a better fit for someone just starting out.
That makes me feel a lot better. So, what about the type of car? Does it matter if it's a new car or a used car? I'm probably looking at something used, just to keep the costs down.
Another excellent question, Samantha. The new versus used debate is always a big one for first cars. How does that affect finance, Tom?
It definitely makes a difference, Samantha. Most lenders are happy to finance both new and used cars. However, the age of the used car can be a factor. Lenders usually have limits on how old the vehicle can be at the end of the loan term.
For example, a lender might say the car can't be older than 12 or 15 years when the loan finishes. This impacts how long a loan term you can get for an older car. Also, interest rates can sometimes be slightly higher for older used cars because they're considered a higher risk asset.
But don't let that discourage you from looking at used cars. A good, reliable used car can be a fantastic first vehicle. We just help you understand the implications for finance and guide you towards options that make sense for that specific vehicle.
Okay, that's good to know. So you'd tell me if the car I'm looking at is too old for certain lenders?
Absolutely. That's part of our due diligence. We'll ask about the car's details and immediately tell you what kind of finance options are available for it, or if there might be limitations. It saves you a lot of heartache down the track.
It really sounds like having you in their corner takes so much of the stress out of it for young buyers. Now, what about speed? Once Samantha finds the perfect car and she's ready to go, how quickly can you typically get things moving?
Speed is often crucial when buying a car, especially in a competitive market. If we've already done the eligibility assessment and ideally secured a pre-approval, the final steps can be very quick. We're talking sometimes within 24 to 48 hours for final approval and settlement once the car is chosen.
That's a huge advantage, Alana. Imagine you find your dream car. You don't want to lose it because the finance takes too long. Our streamlined process, coupled with our relationships with lenders, means we can often get things over the line much faster than an individual going through a bank's standard process.
That's amazing. I was imagining it would take weeks and weeks. So, if I used you guys, how would I even start? Do I just call you up and say, "Help me"?
Good practical question, Samantha. How does someone get started with Find That Finance?
It really is that simple, Samantha. You can visit our website, findthatfinance.com.au, or give us a call. We'll have a no-obligation chat, understand your situation, and then guide you through the free eligibility assessment. It's designed to be straightforward.
We pride ourselves on our personal service. You'll speak to a real person who understands the Australian market and who is genuinely invested in helping you achieve your goal of getting that first car. We walk you through every step, answer every question, no matter how small it seems.
It sounds like a relief, honestly. All this talk has actually made me feel a lot less stressed about it. Knowing there are people who can help me figure out the tricky bits and not just push one product on me is really good.
That's fantastic to hear, Samantha, and that's exactly the kind of confidence we want our listeners to feel. Craig, Tom, any final thoughts or key takeaways you'd like to share with young Australians considering their first car finance?
I'd say, don't be intimidated by the finance process. It can seem complex, but with the right guidance, it's very manageable. Focus on building a good financial foundation, stable work, managing your money well, and always consider the total cost of ownership, not just the purchase price.
And don't hesitate to reach out to a broker. We're here to help you navigate those waters, save you time, and potentially save you money by finding you the best fit. Your first car is a big deal, and it should be an exciting, positive experience, not a stressful one. We're real people, talking to real Aussies, every day.
I'm definitely going to get in touch with you guys after this. Thank you so much for explaining everything.
Samantha, Craig, Tom, thank you all so much for this incredibly insightful and practical discussion. It's clear that getting your first car doesn't have to be a headache, especially with expert help. For anyone out there like Samantha, feeling a bit overwhelmed by first car finance, remember Find That Finance Asset Finance Broker can be your trusted guide. Check out their website at findthatfinance.com.au. That's all for today. We'll catch you next time.